The problem with the world is the fact that people do not want to think for themselves. Humans do not want to think for themselves. Humans want the authorities to tell them how to think, what to think. For example, take the French Revolution, for example. The French said, we tired of the tyranny of monarchy. We want the people to have the power. We want a republic. Now, in the midst of all this chaos, naturally, what did they do? They overthrew the king. They want to execute the king and the queen, Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette. They decided they're going to execute them. Why would you have to execute the king and the queen? Some of y'all would disagree with me. Like, I don't understand, Greg, what you talking about? Of course you got to execute. No. Why do you have to execute the king and the queen? If you do not agree with the authority of the king and the queen, the solution is very simple. Stop obeying them, period. You don't have to kill them. See, the problem lies with your consent. It does not lie with them or anything that they want to do. It does not lie with their orders. It lies with the fact that you, for some reason, think that you have to carry it out in the first place. You mad at Bush for the wars. You mad at Obama for the wars. The Senate, the president, you mad at them for voting on the war. But then you say support our troops, the ones who are actually carrying it out, the ones who actually go and pull the triggers and murder human beings. You ain't got no problem with them doing it because you excuse them and place all the responsibility on the people who told them to do it. But the person who actually committed the act is exempt, according to you. Your thinking is warped. Now, at the end of the day, the messed up part about the French Revolution is they so-called did not want the tyranny of a king, but at the end of the day, what did they end up with? An emperor. They ended up with Napoleon Bonaparte being the emperor. In Russia, around World War I, they overthrew Tsar Nicholas II, killed him, his wife, and all his babies. And that was just disgusting. There wasn't no reason to do that, to kill that man's children. Why? He had a son that had hemophilia. And that's where they get the whole, the Disney movie Anastasia. That's what that was about. But it very loosely based on, if based at all on history, because it didn't go down like what they were talking about. But they got the idea of that from Tsar Nicholas. That's supposed to be one of his daughters. So, but they killed the man's family. I mean, just killed his babies. Because they want freedom. And what they end up with, Vladimir Lenin, Trotsky, and eventually, of course, Joseph Stalin, the most murderous, genocidal regime in modern history, and probably in any history that we know of. When you talk about raw numbers, I mean, no regime, no government, no establishment has been responsible for more, just massacres than Joseph Stalin and his henchmen. But the United States and Great Britain joined Russia. They joined Stalin in World War II to fight against Hitler. They talk about how evil Hitler was, and they on the side of Joseph Stalin. How is anybody evil compared to Joseph Stalin? Anybody. But you see Hitler as being evil. Why? Because that's how they taught you to think. That's what they told you to see. You don't even have a problem. You don't even bat an eyelash. And say, but why were you allied with Joseph Stalin? Hold on. I got to rethink my heroes. I got to rethink my country. I got to rethink Churchill. I got to rethink Roosevelt. They don't acknowledge the atrocities that they committed against the Japanese people here in America. Jim Crow, the Tuskegee experiment, they don't acknowledge those types of things. And black people still Well, I know America done some things, but we can't hate America. Some of y'all on that. You on that tip. Ain't over y'all the only people in the world that got a problem condemning your enemy. I mean, all you got to do is just call a spade a spade. Say, hey, that's wrong. I ain't down with that. So people say, well, at least we got the freedom here to choose. And well, let me break that down for you. Let's start in the Congo. When the Congolese got their independence from Belgium, back around the early 60s, late 50s, early 60s, they elected their leader, a leader that they chose, Brother Patrice Lumumba. What happened to Brother Patrice Lumumba? Well, he didn't last more than a year. He actually didn't last a year at all, because the United States sent assassins in to take him out. Then they backed Mobutu in his place. The United States backed Ibrahim Babangida, a dictator in Nigeria. During the Iraq War, Ibrahim Babangida made $12 billion off of oil. And guess what? Now don't nobody know where the hell the money is. The money that just done mysteriously disappeared. He know where it's at. Some people know where it's at. The average person just don't know where it's at. He done spread that money around to his little front men, to his cronies. And they ain't got no problem with that. The massacres in Rwanda. Everybody know about the Hutu and Tutsi in Rwanda. Maybe Don Cheadle had the movie. The Europeans set that up. They set all this up. In Iran, the United States has several times, several different occasions, overthrown a democratically elected leader in Iran and tried to install some puppet. Over in Pakistan, you had a military dictator by the name of Musharraf. Ron Paul pointed that out, that the United States was supporting him. Let's go to Chile, I think it was. Chile or Argentina. I think it's Chile. With Pinochet, another dictator that America supported. In Guatemala, Brother Jacobo Arbenz came to power back in the 50s. Because United Fruit Corp was taking control of the land down there, just like they do everywhere else. You know, they're taking control of the land, and this is a corporation from the United States, and they're taking the land, they're making all the money selling the crops. And the people felt like, I mean, since it's their land, it's in their country, that they should, you know, actually benefit off the land. So the people were upset. So the people said, we're going to change things. We're going to elect one of our folks. But you had these dictators down there that were catering to the United States. So they said, we're going to elect our own people. So they elected Brother Jacobo Arbenz. Brother Arbenz came to power. He said, I'm taking the land back for the people. The United States, or the United Fruit Corp said, oh, no, you're not. So there had to be a justification to go into Guatemala, because you can't just go down in there, because the citizens going to be like, you know, what we getting involved in this war for? What we starting conflict for? So in the United States, throughout the media, you had Arbenz is a dictator. He do this, that, harm his own people. He's a despot. Hey, something got to be done about it. Like they do everybody else. You heard this story with Saddam Hussein. You heard this story with Muammar Gaddafi. It's the same thing. So this thing just now started. And so they went in there with that justification and overthrew the man. Same thing they did with Aguilera down there in Ecuador. See, learn these names, these people, go research this history before you start co-signing these people. These people are evil. They are not about freedom. They support dictators. They overthrow democratically elected people who the people select, and they install dictators in their place. All right? There is no freedom in America. There ain't no such thing as freedom in America. When Aguilera died in a plane crash, they blew the man plane up. Then they blocked off the crash site, and they said nobody, the U.S. military did this. They said nobody better not come in here. Talking about some investigating. You understand? There's no such thing as freedom. The United States is not about freedom. Ain't never been about freedom. I mean, have you ever heard of the slave trade? I mean, come on now. These people are not about freedom. There's no such thing as freedom under a government. I'll say that again. There's no such thing as freedom under a government. A government giving you freedom is an oxymoron. There's no such thing as having freedom when somebody else is telling you what to do. Somebody outside of yourself, it has the authority to tell you what is permissible and prohibited. That's oxymoron. It does not matter if that entity calls itself a monarchy, a democracy, a republic, or an empire or dictatorship. It does not matter. If somebody else is telling you what to do, there's no such thing as freedom. Some people say, well, there's not freedom, there's just different degrees of freedom. No, it's not even that. The only thing that there is different degrees of force that the state has to use in order to keep you under control. Because no state is going to allow you to overthrow it. If no state is going to allow you to overthrow it, then there is no such thing as freedom. If or to undermine it in any way. If there is no such thing as a crime without a punishment, there is not any freedom. All that there is certain degrees of force that the government has to use. Give you an example. In the year 2000 presidential election, George Bush got in. I can't say he was elected. He got in the office. I say it like that. He got in the office. Now, with the controversy surrounding that, what did the American people do? They went to sleep. They got up the next morning, went to work, paid their taxes. That's what they did. Okay. On the other hand, if that same thing had happened basically anywhere else in the world, especially in Latin America or Asia or Africa, all hell would broke loose. You understand? See, people got this twisted idea. They got a misunderstanding that the American government does not brutalize us the way other countries brutalize their citizens because America allows you to have more freedom. No, it ain't got nothing to do with that. Reason why your government does not brutalize you the way other governments brutalize their people is because, quite frankly, they do not have to. The purpose of a state is the only thing a state wants to do is maintain power. And the goal is to use as little force as necessary. You do not want to be up there brutalizing people just to be doing it. The only way you want to brutalize somebody, the only time you're going to brutalize somebody is if that is absolutely necessary. Because otherwise, you're spending resources on troops, on ammunition, and then on top of that, it's chaos. So anytime when you have chaos, you don't have order. You don't have peace. You can't rule in chaos. You want people to think that everything is okay. And if you could get people to do that and keep paying taxes, hey, look at America. Well, I'll get this in just a minute. But if it's not necessary to do, you're not going to do it. I mean, why would you do that? Kill off some of your own citizens just for the hell of it? Why would you do that? That's not rulership. That's stupid. And you're going to end up starting some mess that didn't need to be there and losing some control that you had. So it had nothing to do with that. It doesn't. I mean, that's common sense. I mean, no government is going to allow you to overthrow. If you got a government, there's no such thing as free. It's oxymoron.